What's going on, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this show, which is all about Champions League as we look to build up towards what is going to be a Champions League week for Arsenal. It's weird, isn't it, this time round when you've got Champions League fixtures that are all over the place. One week it's Champions League and you think you're playing, and then it's the week after and you can't quite tell who's playing where. Listen, I'm a big fan of this competition, and it's absolutely beautiful to be back in it. And we're going to talk about our chances in it. We're going to talk about the Porto game this week, and we're also going to talk about what this fixture means for Arsenal Football Club, because it's a European competition that we haven't done very well in over the years. We're back in it, and everyone wants to go all the way. Do they think that we can? We're going to talk about that. There's a poll in the chat. Make sure you get involved in it. It's simple. Can Arsenal win this Champions League? Do you think they're going to? Yes or no? We're going to keep tabs on how that's going. Please do me a favor. If you're here early enough, smash the like button. Make sure you've hit that, please. That's the first job for you. The second job is to hit subscribe. Both of those things are absolutely free, so make sure that you do that before you come into the live chat and get involved. Any questions you have for me, any comments that you want to put in there, please make sure that you do. And of course, if you want to have your question read out on screen, then put in a super chat and we will do that for you, and it will go to the front of the queue. We're going to talk about some of our team news. We're going to talk about the injured players, that are looking to come back in this Arsenal setup in the coming weeks. Mikel Arteta is quite confident, or quietly confident, that some of them will be in the mix in the upcoming near future. So let's hope that that is the case. We're also going to talk about the team news that you would pick as a selected 11 for this game against Porto on Wednesday. So please make sure that you get involved in the chat in that. What would your 11 be against Porto? Will it change? Would you change the positions, the formations, the players? Would you do anything differently to what we've seen of late? And we're also going to look at our future Premier League games, which are coming thick and fast. This is a great part to the end of the season. The back end of the season is always the busiest, but also it's where things really start hotting up. So we are going to get into the nitty gritty. If you do like a bet, make sure you do me a favor and go on to the description of this video and click on the Patreon for bread and honey bets. Bread and honey bets will give you the opportunity to look at their tips and win some money. The other thing you need to do is get in touch with Russell Hogg Photography, in the link in the description on Instagram. Drop him a line and say, I'm a gooner, Dan Potts sent me, and I want this behind me, which is a canvas of the Canon, and one that is very, very, very nice. He's got other colours as well, so please make sure that you drop him a line and say you're interested, and he'll sort you one out. If you're a gooner and you want this on your wall like I've got. So please make sure that you do that. And of course, make sure that you do follow our sponsors, Football Prizes. They have got an unbelievable Wayne Rooney signed memorabilia at the moment, so make sure that you head over to Football Prizes and do that. More on that on tonight's show. Tonight's show at 8 p.m. We will all be back for the Race for Europe show, and there are some happy faces and there are some very sad faces this weekend. So trust me, there'll be some banter tonight and some chemistry as ever. So make sure that you join us at 8 p.m. this evening. That is all from me. Now, let's get into the football, shall we? We are playing on Wednesday night, and we've got a very important away fixture in Porto. Now, this is a fixture we haven't actually won. We haven't beaten Porto away in the Champions League, which is crazy, because I can think of many games that we've played them at the Emirates where we have comfortably won. I remember there was a couple of opportunities to play them in the early days of the Emirates era when Nicholas Bentner was getting on the score sheet. Might have even scored a hat-trick actually against Porto, crazily. I remember Samir Nasri score an absolute worldie against Porto with quick feet and technical ability, where we comfortably brushed past Porto. But away from home, we've had some pretty poor results, apparently. I can remember Fabianski having a poor game. I can remember Sol Campbell coming back in about 2010 and making his debut, where I think we either drew or lost. I can remember one of our goalkeepers, maybe it was Fabianski or Manone at the time, we got lobbed. So we haven't had a great time over there. We also went out to Sporting Lisbon, a team that they know very, very well, last season in the Europa League. But when people compare Arsenal in the Europa League to Arsenal this season in the Champions League, I don't think it's fair. And I'll tell you why. The reason I don't think it's fair is because the Europa League fixtures that we had last season, we rotated in most of those games, whether it be in the group stages or whether it be in right the way up to the last 16 and quarterfinals. And I feel personally like that's just unfair to then look at what that team did and expect it to be similar in this competition. But it is completely and utterly different squad now. Now, when I look at it, last season we played players like Fabi Vieira, we played Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson. We had players that had to come in like Jacob Kivior, Rob Holding. These are players that are not going to be playing this season. Yeah, we're not going to be seeing those names. And if we do see them, it's because they've had to come on for an injury, or they've had to come on when we're 3 or 4 nil up, like we've seen of late when we're beating the likes of Burnley and West Ham comfortably, and we bring on like Cedric and Nwaneri and Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson. So for me, the Champions League this season, we can't afford to do that. We've got to go all out. We're only in 2 competitions, the Premier League and the Champions League, and we're doing well in both. So at the moment, things are looking up for the Arsenal, but we need to continue that form. And I think going into this fixture, it's going to be very, very different to those that we've played against Burnley's, Palace's, West Ham's, and even Liverpool's, because it's Champions League. Form goes out the window. Experience matters. Porto are a side that have always been in Europe, whether it be in the Champions League last 16 or whether it be in other European competitions, but they've always been a well-respected club. They've won the Champions League and they always do fairly well in their domestic league. So this isn't going to be an easy aside game, walk in the park game. I don't believe that we can go into the fixture believing that this is going to be a comfortable win. We've got to actually show why we deserve to be in this competition and why we can beat teams like Porto for me. And I want to talk about this competition and Arsenal's chances in it, because sometimes I look at the winners over the years in the Champions League, and it hasn't always been the best side in the league. It hasn't always been the side that wins their domestic trophy or wins their domestic league, that wins the Champions League. And of the last few, you can sit there and say that that's actually been the case. Manchester City, for example, won it. The treble winners. Seasons before that, there was 3 in a row from Real Madrid, who were doing very well in their La Liga and winning that as well. But there has been times over the past 2 decades where Porto have won it and weren't the best team in the world at the time, where Liverpool had won it and come 5th or 4th in their league. Chelsea under Di Matteo won it and they were about 9th or 8th in their league. So there's definitely been opportunities, even up to the Thomas Tuchel Chelsea side, that come in the top 4 that won the Champions League. So for me, I don't think it's always been about who's the best in the league. They're going to have to go and win it. So I think this is a good time to be in Europe. And I'm going to bring up a super chat, as I said I would. Jamie, big up, Jamie. He says, Europe is not as strong as the years past, so it's open. This is a really good point. And I'm not saying that Europe's easy. I'm not saying that when you get into the Champions League, the reason it's great is because everyone's rubbish. I just think it's a good time for us looking around the other teams to see where Arsenal are at. Not where Europe's at, just where Arsenal's at. And I think on form at the moment, Arsenal are playing some of the best football in the country. Now, people will laugh and say it's against poor sides, but you can only beat what's in front of you, right? And I think right now, Arsenal are playing very good football. I look at what Manchester City are doing. I look at what Bayern Munich are doing, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Napoli, PSG. Who worries you? Who worries you? The names worry me. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona. Now look at the team and say to me that you fear them. I'm not so sure that we should fear them as much as perhaps we did in previous seasons. Real Madrid, definitely fear. Man City, I fear. The other team I'd probably put next ahead of Bayern Munich is Inter Milan. Other than that, I think Arsenal got a great chance, as good as any. Now, over one single game in a final, anybody can win anything, right? We can get to a stage where anybody can beat anybody. If you look at most media pundits at the moment, they're tipping Arsenal as being the only team that can actually get across the line in 2 legs to stop Man City. That's a massive compliment. Massive, massive compliment. Because if you go into a season believing that you are one of the favourites for the Champions League, you're a good side. But if people are tipping you as one of the favourites alongside Man City, who are treble winners, that means you must be doing something right. So our chances as a whole, I think we've got more chance of winning the Champions League than the Premier League. The Premier League, you have to be consistent over 38 games. If we win 7 Champions League games, we've won it. We win 7 Premier League games, there's no guarantee you're winning the league. But win 7 games in the Champions League and we've won the Champions League, because we've got 2 in the last 16, 2 in the quarters, 2 in the semis, and 1 final. So that means in 7 games' time in the Champions League, we'll know whether we're winners or not. Now, let's hope it's not in 2 games' time we'll know if we're winners or not, because Porto, we obviously have to get through. And I do believe that we will over 2 legs. But I'm not so sure I'm confident that it's going to be an easy result in Wednesday's fixture in the away leg, because they're going to make it difficult for us. Now, I haven't done enough analysis on Porto over the last few months or weeks to know how they play or what their key philosophy is, who their key members of players are going to be that are going to cause us some problems. But we know what sort of players they've got. We know what the team's about. And I do feel that in the league and in the Champions League, Porto will be looked and respected, and rightly so. But Arsenal should be winning this fixture across 2 legs. There's no way Arsenal should be going out. And I feel that if we have any chance of winning silverware this season, if I had to put money on one, I'd probably put it on the Champions League, because I've seen how consistent Manchester City can be in the Premier League, and I haven't seen them consistently good in the Champions League over the last 5 years, because they've gone out at stages in the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and final. So that is the only reason that I answer that question with the Champions League, because I have seen how consistent Manchester City can be at the back end of the season in the league. So that's why I would have to go with one of them. Now let's move on to this Wednesday night fixture. This Wednesday night fixture is going to be difficult, and I'm going to talk about the team news quickly, because I don't think we need to be going in with too much emphasis on what we're going to change and what we're going to do to bring somebody in, how we're going to look at it differently. Before I do that, two things. How many likes have we got? We've only got 56. There's 200 people in here. Come on, hit the like button. Make sure we get that up to 100 likes. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're getting very, very close to 17K. And of course, the next target, which is 20K. 53% of you believe that Arsenal will win the Champions League. 47% of you believe you won't. Just over 50% for Arsenal to win the Champions League. So we'll leave that vote up. We'll leave that poll up for a little bit longer. Excuse me. Let's make sure we get the likes up, please, people. What's it gone up to now? 65. Let's keep that up and make sure that it goes up to 100. Please, people, let's bring on this super chat. This comes in from Wad, who says, bias aside, Arsenal are by far the best football played in the world today, full stop. I think you can argue the case for that at the moment, bruv. I think you can. I think if you look around Europe, you'll see some fantastic football. I think Arsenal are right up there, right this second. And things change, don't they? Because there's no way you would have said that at Christmas time. There's no way you would have said that in August, September, October, or November, because we were playing this different style. And I've said this has changed. The style has changed 100%. People are saying it's always been there. We're just scoring goals now. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. We have changed completely. And since Dubai, people keep saying, I don't know what they've done in Dubai, but wow. It's no coincidence for me that there's a couple of things that have massively changed. And there's also some serious questions that need to be asked that I'm not even sure of the answers to yet. Like, does Jesus get back in this side? Question mark. Does Zinchenko get back in this side? Question mark. Does Tomiyasu come back into this side? Does Timber and Party walk into this side? All questions that would have been absolutely yes, can't wait for him to come back a few months ago. Now, all of a sudden, a few weeks have passed. We're playing different. We look better. And now, I think it's a really good question. A question that I think a lot of people might not jump to the answer to anymore. They actually might sit and have a think about it and think, okay, where are we at? Do we need Jesus to walk back into this side? Are we happy with Trossard? Does Kivior deserve it to be dropped? Does Kai Havertz deserve to be dropped out of this side? Amazing to think that all of those questions could be no, because most of the people I know that are Arsenal fans would have said to me, absolutely, get them all back. What is Havertz doing in here? Kivior, left back, get him out. Trossard, not a number 9. Get Jesus back in. Now, listen, I've always liked Trossard at number 9, and I've always said that we should try and play him there and see how it works again, because it always looked good last season when we did it. And now, yet again, here it is. It's happening. Let me get to it. I would not change a thing. I would not change a damn thing on Wednesday night, and I'll tell you why. There is nothing that I have seen in the last 3 games with the formation we've played, with the players that he selected, that makes me think that we can't be consistent with what we're seeing on the football pitch. There's absolutely no reason for me to say change it up, get him out to Porto, Jesus gets back in this side, let's drop Trossard off, let's ensure that Havertz has a drop with Clay Jorginho, let's get Smith Rowe and give him a go, let's bring Tomiyasu back in at left back, let's get Zinchenko back in, for example. None of that stuff. None of that stuff needed. We play the same team that played against Burnley. Because I can sit there and try to suggest that you can make changes, but I would be hypocritical to then say we need to do X, Y, Z, and then it goes wrong, and me to then come on a fan cam on here or on AFTV or on Lee's channel and go, what's he changed it all up for? What did he do that for? We're just beating Burnley and West Ham by 5s and 6s. Why has he changed it up? It's all on him. For me, keep it the same. Keep it the same, Mikel. It's working. Don't get into a situation where you have any ammunition for people to question your team selection, because right now it's been spot on. Tactically, Arteta in the last 3 games has probably had 3 of the best tactically sound games as an Arsenal manager, in my opinion. Everything he's done has been spot on. I've given him as close to a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of ratings when you do those silly player ratings that some people love doing, that I don't like doing. Personally, he's been phenomenal. He really has. And he's proven to me that he's learnt a lot in the time he's been here. And also now has a bit of a plan B, which I spoke about yesterday. Big up to Jamie again with another super chat. Says, don't wait for 29 to drop a stinker to drop him. Listen, 29, Kai Havertz, German giraffe, German statue, whatever you want to call him, has been very good in the last 3 games. I thought against Liverpool as a 9, he was great. I really like the fact that he's been interchanging with Trossard against Burnley and West Ham of the last 2 games. And I've been a fan of Kai Havertz. I think his movement and his late runs into the box has been underrated at times in the last few games and not been spoken about enough. So I'm fine with Kai Havertz right now. I'm not going to sit there and say that he's our best player. I'm not going to get too excited by thinking that he's going to be an amazing signing. But you have to say that he's stuck out with it. He's trying to make it work. He's done the same with David Raya. He's done the same with Kivior. And I think what he's done is complemented most things, to be honest. And those 3 things have been complemented by Leandro Trossard playing closer to Kai Havertz, David Raya settling in and having a back 4 that now trusts him. And I must say, with Jacob Kivior, there wasn't many that wanted him to play at left back, me included. And what he's done is now by inverting Ben White, he's allowed Kivior to come into the game and play a bit better. So Mikel Arteta deserves credit for those 3 things, man. I've got to say it. Another super chat from Word Absolute Legend said, agreed, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything because I don't believe that you should change a winning side. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. People might look at it differently and say that this is a completely different kettle of fish because we're playing Porto. We're not going and playing a team that potentially looks at, a Sheffield United, let's say. This is a team that's well respected and that has done well in Europe. So absolutely. But don't go and change it because our style of play right now is looking good. And I'm really impressed by what I'm seeing. So I don't want to see that changing. Let's quickly touch on team news. We have been told by most media outlets and Mikel Arteta that we're going to have a fully fit squad by the time that we get to the end of the month. Now, I know that's not true. Not because he's lying, because what will happen between now and the end of the month is we will get more injuries because that's football. I don't have faith in some of our players to keep fit throughout the season. That's nothing to do with their quality. It's nothing to do with them personally or any hatred I have against them. I just think that we have a few durable players in our side and that's it. And those durable players are Ben White, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, and there's one more that I've forgotten. Who's the other one? Wow. Gabriel. Ben White, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel, and Declan Rice. They're the ones that are extremely durable. They don't really tend to get long-term injuries. Touch wood, I'm touch wood. Lucky wood. Because I can't be dealing with that now happening. Me getting clipped up saying they'd never get injured and all 4 of them go down. But what I will say is that we have every other position with a question mark on it. Now, goalkeeper aside, goalkeepers don't tend to get long-term injuries. In terms of the outfield players, Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, injury prone. Tierney and Timber have proven that they probably look like they're going to be as well. I know Tierney's now on loan. In midfield, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira. Martin Odegaard's another one, actually. He's fairly durable. Across the front line, Martinelli and Trossard can get knocks. Jesus is another one. Thomas Partey, we've mentioned. El Neni. Players that you can't really sit there and put your house on that they won't get injured. But players are coming back, man. Players are coming back. And Tomiyasu is not far away. He's come back from the Asian Cup. Surely he will be in the squad. Zinchenko, what's happened to him? He got a knock. We haven't seen him since. Coming back to fitness soon. Gabi Jesus, likewise, coming back to fitness soon. And Timber and Partey. Timber, we expect to see within the squad at the end of this month. Partey, likewise, looking like end of this month. That to me means we pretty much got to go through from now until mid-March until we see Partey and Timber anywhere near fit enough to be playing solid amounts of football for Arsenal. That's the way I see it. As for the others, I expect to see them with minutes over the coming weeks. Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, and Jesus. 3 subs that, let's be real, if called upon, you'd have some faith that they do quite well. I don't think the drop-off is massive between Tomiyasu and Ben White, for example. And I don't think the drop-off is massive between Zinchenko and any of our left-backs. I don't think the drop-off is massive when you look at Jesus coming on for the centre-forward, which is why I believe that a number 9 should be prioritised in the summer still. Leandro Trossard, we're giving him a mention on here and on Lee Judge's channel quite a lot. I think he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. I've been very, very impressed with Leandro Trossard in the 9. And I think that he's been linking up very well with not just Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, but obviously with Kai Havertz and Ødegaard too. I don't feel like Trossard is ever in the way. I don't feel like Trossard is ever causing issues for anything other than the opposition defence. And I'm a huge, huge fan of what I've seen from Leandro Trossard. I really am. And no, Jesus does not walk back into this side. Neither does Zinchenko or Tomiyasu. Neither does Thomas Partey or Timber. Let's just keep it real. When players are playing this well together as a collect, it would be crazy to start swapping it around. And what's mad is last season, Leandro Trossard was playing out of his skin and he got dropped when Jesus come back in. And I don't think that's fair. I really don't. As much as I like Gabriel Jesus, Trossard scored a hat-trick against Fulham at Craven Cottage, a hat-trick of assists in the first half. I'll be corrected. Didn't score a hat-trick. He got a hat-trick of assists. Got player of the month. And then in April, May, we hardly saw him. He come off the bench a few times, but Jesus was back starting. I don't want to see that happening again. I think it's more than fair for Jesus to fight for his place back. And if you believe that Jesus can come on from the bench and give Saka a rest and go out wide instead, fine. If you want to bring him up top and play him just off of Trossard or just in front of Trossard and take off Havertz, fine. But don't just swap it all back round and play what you think is the best 11 that you were starting with at the start of the season. Because for me, that just foolishly disrupts what we've got going on right now, which is working. So I really don't want to see that on Wednesday night. And I really don't want to see that in the Premier League games as well. So that's where I'll leave you. The last few games in the Premier League. We've got Newcastle at the weekend, an 8 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. Who on earth put that fixture at that time? God only knows. But we have to beat them. And I'm quietly confident for the first time in a while going into this game. Although we've had some good results there at the Emirates. Last season, we weren't able to beat them. Eddie Howe did a number on us in terms of his tactics. He shithoused a 0-0. And it's a massive game this time. We have to beat them. And then, of course, we've got Sheffield United away on a Monday night, which we need to win. They are absolutely abysmal at the moment. That is like no excuses at all, but 3 points. And then we've got Brentford at home, a team that can defend very, very poorly, as we saw at the weekend, but can defend very well. A player that we all know and love, and some don't love, is Ivan Toney. We know that he's going to want to prove himself against us because there's rumours that he wants to leave, and Arsenal are tipped as being one of the destinations potentially for him. So he's going to be difficult to keep quiet. Newcastle and Brentford are getting players back as well. Brentford are getting Visa back. They're getting Mbeumo back. Newcastle are looking at Isak and Sven Botman and Joe Linton and Willock and all these players that have been out for God knows how long. They're going to be coming back in the coming weeks. So let's hope that some of them still aren't going to make it against Arsenal. But we have to beat them even if they are all there. Yeah. Let's just go into these games believing that we will win them and having the faith and confidence that playing like we do will get us across the line, because then we go and win those games leading up to what will be the Manchester City game. That will be huge. It should be Chelsea first, but I think they're going to beat Leeds, and that will then mean they play FA Cup that weekend, and it'll be rearranged for us. So we get another week where we don't play football and a little bit of rest going into what is one of the biggest fixtures Arsenal Football Club's history in terms of Premier League football, which would, of course, be the Etihad. But we can't think about that yet, man. We've got to go into that with an 100% record, and we have to get through against Porto before we even think about going and dreaming of playing Manchester City at the Emirates, the Etihad, and beating them. So that's where we're at right now. Wednesday night is huge. Let's make sure that we go and get the aggregate scoreline going into the second leg that we want. I am going to give my score prediction probably tomorrow night on Lee Judge's TV, so make sure you're over there for that then. Let's see what happens there. Let's have a look. See, did I miss any super chats? Did I miss a super chat? No, I didn't. Let's have a look at what you're saying in the poll before I end. 52% believe that Arsenal can win the Champions League, and that's where we'll end it. Oh, it's just gone to 50-50. Wow. So indecisive. There's over 120 votes, and it's 50-50 right now between whether Arsenal can win the Champions League or not. Wow, that is incredible. It's just gone up to 51 now. Back to 50-50. You are so indecisive, all you guys. One thing you're not indecisive about is hitting the like button. So please make sure that you can do that. We're only 5 away from 100 likes. Let's make sure that we can click on the like button. Who's going to be the number 100 to hit that like button? Make sure that you do that. Hit the subscribe button as well, please, people. That would be really, really good for you to please hit the like button. We are trying to get to 20k as quickly as we can. So please make sure that you're part of that journey with us. It'd be nice to hit 20k. What are we on now? Be nice to hit 20k if we can by April Fool's Day. There we go. That would be nice. Okay, we are at 51%. I'm going to end the poll there. 51% of you say that we can win, that we will win, the Champions League. Well, I hope that 51% of you are all right, because that would be amazing. Listen, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so, so much for your time today. Do me a favor, make sure you like and subscribe to the content. Make sure you're following me down here on my Twitter handle and my Instagram, also on TikTok now as well. So make sure that you do all of those things and follow me. And yeah, we'll see you next time, people. Up the Arsenal. Laters.